Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Beyond the Budget podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Burns. I am a money and mindset coach and founder of the Lotus Legacy, and I help women change the way that they think and feel about money so that they can use money more intentionally to create a life that they love. Today's episode, I'm really excited to bring to you because it's actually going to be part of a series that I'm doing to help us wrap up 2023 and get ready to welcome this new year. And the series is going to be around mindset shifts that I would love for us to make as we get ready to enter this new year. A couple episodes ago, I posted or created a podcast around money mindset and what money mindset is, where it comes from, and some really simple strategies and techniques to start to shift your perspective and shift your thinking when it comes to your finances. If you haven't listened to that episode, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to it because it will lay the foundation for this series. But if you remember from that podcast episode, I talked about how your money mindset is, or your money mindset is the beliefs, the rules, the assumptions that you make around your money. Those beliefs and that money mindset will impact the way that you think about money. Your thoughts impact your feelings impact your actions, or sometimes your inactions. And then those actions or inactions lead to an outcome. And then it will start that cycle all over again. And so for a lot of us, we have to break this cycle of the way that we're thinking, feeling around about our finances so that we can use money more intentionally. Instead of focusing on, the situation, we could be more optimistic, be more hopeful, be more solution oriented. And again, just more intentional with our finances. Now, money mindset is not just about good vibes and just thinking that you're a money magnet and money is going to flow to you effortlessly. I do believe affirmations are powerful, but that's not the only thing that we need to focus on when it comes to our money mindset. It's a lot deeper. So before we get into what today's topic is all about, I wanted to quickly just check in on you. I saw a post yesterday on Instagram, and it was this woman who was sobbing on Beyonce's internet because, she's a nurse, her husband has a good job, and they had $200 left until their next payday. And she's like, how is this happening? How do we make money? We have these good jobs and we don't have any money. And I was reading the comments, and I love us as a people. We will find humor. We will laugh through pain. We will, find, as Keeley said, one of my friends, Keeley, said on her Instagram, pockets of joy. We'll find pockets of joy wherever we can. And it's really incredible that we're able to do that. But I was looking at some of the comments, and they're like, girl, you got money. Like, I'm getting paid tomorrow and my paycheck is already gone. Welcome to the struggle life. Like people just, just relatable content, because a lot of people right now are struggling when it comes to their finances. I wanted to mention that, and I wanted to check on you because I care about you. I care about your finances. I care about your goals. I know that how your financial health can impact so many other areas of your mental health, your emotional health, your stress levels, and the things that you want and desire out of life. When we're having these conversations around money mindset, it is not to say that if you just think good vibe or think positively about your money, if you are just saying affirmations, then you will solve all your financial problems. However, again, with a growth mindset, it does encourage you to look for more possibilities, be more hopeful, be more confident in your efforts. And that's really what I want for you, because when you are more confident, when you are able to look for hope and solutions and light and opportunities, it opens up the doors for you to earn more money, to start that business that could be the gateway to your financial freedom. It opens up the possibilities for you to just do things differently, and position you in a different situation. And so again, I'm not saying that, just fixing your money mindset will solve all your problems. No, there's additional work that we have to do. One of the things that I work with a lot of my clients on, is increasing their income. And we talk a lot about worthiness and just having really good conversations around advocating for yourself when it comes to your income and how you earn money, because for a lot of women that I know, they're really great at what they do. However, the money that they make doesn't always match the work that they do. And not saying that you can't, that money is the end all be all, but if you are pursuing financial stability, financial security, financial independence, financial freedom, then increasing your income whenever possible, advocating for yourself, feeling like you are worthy of having more, doing more, being more, is going to be really helpful. Okay, so that's my little soapbox. How are you? I would love for you to, I'm not going to tell you to put it in the comments, but you could send me an email at hello@thelotuslegacy.co, or on Instagram, shoot me a DM. It's me and my DMs. I don't have any, VAs or anybody that's looking at my DMs. So if you message me and share anything with me, it is just me. And you can message me on at the Lotus Legacy. I care about you. As this podcast suggests in the name, it's called Grow Beyond the Budget, because it's not just about the budgets. It's not even just about the mindset. I care about you. I want you to grow beyond just your finances. Again, to live the life that God has for you, to live the life that you truly deserve, to live the life that you desire. Those things are possible for you. I want that for you. I want financial peace. I want to relieve financial stress that you have. I want you to live your life to the fullest. You deserve that. And I want that for you. So, how are you? Message me and let me know. I truly, truly care. All right. Um, Now let's get into today's episode. Again, this is part of a series that we're going to be doing around mindset shifts that I would love for us to shift, or mindsets that I would love for us to adopt, or maybe shift. Yeah, maybe shift in going into the new year. Things that we need to just really be introspective, really reflect on these things that we might be doing in our finances, and um, let's focus on doing things differently. Now, I have a laundry list of things that I wanted to talk about, but there were some really common themes that I wanted to address. And so I've tried to narrow it down as much as possible. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about expectations. I have notes right next to me if you're watching this on YouTube. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I have like a teleprompter and all the fancy things. So if you see me looking over, that's what I'm doing. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening, then you don't even see that I'm looking away. But so today's episode is all around expectations. And we need to talk about expectations because while at the core of the definition, expectations are not a bad thing. But expectations can often lead to a lot of negative feelings when our expectations are unclear, our expectations are unmet, when they're unrealistic, when they are rigid and there's no flexibility, or if these expectations that we have are inherited from other people and they have nothing to do with our own beliefs. Now, I wanted to share the definition of expectations before we continue. So, like the definition, like at its core, expectations are a strong belief that something will happen or will be the case in the future. Again, just by definition, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having hope, with having like a desired outcome, with having a dream. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, where we go wrong with our expectations is when we don't communicate what we expect. When we are, again, rigid, when we're unrealistic with what we're expecting, when this whole like Delulu thing is on Instagram right now. So I'm like down this delusional wormhole. But like if we're being unrealistic with the things that we're expecting, or again, like if those expectations aren't even ours. So I'll give you a couple examples of just how expectations could get you caught up. So I want you to just think about a time, and I feel like everybody could relate to this because we've probably all been there or know somebody who has. Think about a time that you have worked really, really hard at your job. You are going above and beyond. You're doing your work, you're doing somebody else's work. Somebody is out on maternity leave, they're sick, they're on disability, and you stepped up to the plate and are taking on all of these additional roles and responsibilities. You're getting pats on the back, good job emails, all of this recognition in the moment. But when it is time for you to get a raise or to get a promotion, you go unnoticed, right? They're like, okay, great job. no raise, no promotion. This happened to me a long time ago when I was working in retail management and I was the assistant manager, and the store manager got promoted to a different job, a different role. So that store manager role was vacant. And I like was working so hard. Like my store manager at that time, she was my mentor. She was like working with me to step up and become a store manager. And so I was the interim store manager for about 6 months. And I just knew that when it was time for them to officially fill that role, that they were going to step up and or they were going to promote me and let me be the store manager. Well, that did not happen. Partially because I think I was like 19 or 20 at the time. I did not have a lot of work experience. I did not have a degree in any sort of like management or anything like that. And so I got passed up for that promotion. But when I tell y'all, I was so salty. I was so disappointed. I was angry. I was frustrated. And shortly thereafter, I left that job. And it was really difficult for me to work as hard as I did at that point in any other position because I going forward was like, okay, well, I'm going to do these different things, but I'm not going to expect to get promoted because this is what happened to me in the past. And this is where our expectations can really hinder our progress, is because once we have an expectation, a belief that something is going to happen or something will be the case, if it's not clear, if it's unmet, then that can lead to a lot of negative emotions. We just talked about how our emotions impact our actions. And so my action from that incident was like to not give 110% ever again in any other job. I mean, I'm giving 110% now in my business, but that's because it's mine. But I never worked that hard in another role again. And so there's times where we have these expectations of what we want. And if the expectation is unclear, I never actually talked to my district managers or the people who were in charge of that promotion, that letting them know that, okay, well, I want to be considered for that role. And so a lot of times we just do things with the expectation that somebody will see us and acknowledge us and just go ahead and give us that recognition or the reward that we desire. But it's not even clear what we want to begin with. And then when that expectation is unmet, that is when the negative emotions come in. So, um, again, we just talked about how your feelings impact your actions. And so it's really important for us to be clear about our expectations. I want to give you a couple more examples. So, like I said, expectations go wrong when they are unrealistic. So, we'll start with the unmet. We'll start with the unmet. Okay, so another example of how expectations could be hindering your financial progress is if the expectations that you have are not even yours. And so when I'm thinking about that, we're in the holiday season. And so now we are at the time of the year where we are expected, especially as moms, especially as parents, to go above and beyond for our kids. We are expected because of society and what social media is saying and showing us that we got to do all these lavish experiences with our kids, take them to see all the lights, do all the things. And do not get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with wanting to create memories for your children. But when we are looking at social media and just the things that society are bombarding us with, they often create this unspoken expectation in us that if we don't do these things, then we're not good enough. We're not living up to what we should be doing. Another example, and of course, then we naturally know how that could sabotage our finances, because if you are going above and beyond, and this is not a season where you have it, right? We just talked about at the beginning of the show how a lot of people are struggling financially. But because of these external expectations that are being placed on you, that you've inherited as now beliefs, that you have to do all the things with your kids, you have to get them everything that they want, it could potentially sabotage and cause and have you compromising your finances. Another example of external expectations are getting a college degree. So many people have gone to college with the expectation that, okay, if I go to college, if I take out these student loans, if I go to college, I get this degree, then I expect to land a job in my field that pays me a good wage and a livable wage to where I can have financial stability and be able to pay these student loans back. That was the expectation. And when that expectation was not met, it leads to a lot of negative emotions. It leads to disappointment and frustration. I know that a lot of people are frustrated at our government right now in the US because there's so much talk about loan forgiveness, but nothing is really moving. Some loans have been forgiven, but not all of them like we were promised, right? So things like that lead to frustration. But that is an external expectation that we've adopted because of what society has told us. It's really important for us to get clear about what our expectations are so we can release these things going into the new year. Um, the last one I want to share, so we talked about expectations being unmet. That's like going above and beyond external expectations. Now let's talk about like unclear expectations. Like there are these strong beliefs that we have that are not even spoken. And my husband will tell you I have this expectation that he will just be able to read my mind. That after being together for so many years, if he can see my face, he can see the house, he can see the kids, he can see what I'm working on, that he will be able to just read my mind and just know what to do. That is a really unclear and unrealistic expectation because he is not inside my brain. And even though we've been together for a really long time, it's not fair for him or for me to expect him to be able to know what I want. And so I over the years, I had to learn, and I'm still learning to be even more clear about what I want out of our relationship. Okay. So an unclear expectation when it comes to your finances would be like with people who are depending on you financially. For a long time, I was that go-to person in my family for money. If somebody needed money, they would come to me, and I would give it to them. And I had the unclear, unspoken expectation that, okay, this is the last time I'm going to give you money, and then you're going to get your shit together. And that didn't happen because I never made it clear that, okay, I'm giving you this money, or I expect that you will try a little bit harder, or that you will do things differently in your life to manage your money or do whatever you need to do to get your stuff together, right? That was an unclear expectation that I had. And they were expecting me to be there for them every time they needed money. And so in our family dynamics, in our relationships, and this could be our parents, this could be our siblings, this could be, friends, this could be our children. There's a lot of times where we have these really unclear, unspoken expectations of each other. And when those expectations aren't met, it could lead to disappointment. It could lead to resentment towards the person. And so we just have to be very open, honest, and transparent about what we expect from people, and from ourselves when it comes to our finances. All right. Unrealistic. I did not really go through the unrealistic expectations. So I'll give you an example of that. All right. So I started my business in 2020. If you have a business, in 2020, like it was the best time ever. Like what a time to be alive. It was a beautiful time for me to start my business because I was able to see so many businesses thrive and grow in online. Everybody was making money. There was lots of stuff. And so I expected, okay, now unrealistic expectation. I expected that, within like 6 months of starting my business, that I was going to earn multiple six figures. Yeah, that didn't happen. That was an unrealistic expectation. I had this really big, lofty, I don't even want to call it a goal, dream, an expectation that I was going to hit this really large income goal. And it was unrealistic because there was no action behind it. There was no strategy. As a new business owner, I had no idea how to market, how to sell. I had no idea truly how to support even my clients in their transformation. I knew that I could help them with the budget. We talked a little bit about money mindset, but I didn't have my money mindset certifications at that point. And so there was a really unrealistic expectation that I set. And the problem with sometimes having these unrealistic expectations is, again, like once they happen and that expectation is unmet, it could lead to disappointment. And disappointment is such a heavy feeling because disappointment oftentimes can lead to you feeling like shame and guilt and hopelessness, right? You can start to beat yourself up. It can really weigh on your confidence. You might even become apathetic and just not even caring about anything anymore if you continue to experience like unmet expectations and experience disappointment. And so, in your expectations, here's what I'd like for you to do instead. Because we talked enough about like what they are and how they could be hindering your progress and your finances. This is what I want you to do. One, I need you to communicate. Okay, we have to get so much better with articulating our thoughts, articulating our feelings, articulating our expectations. Also, like explore your expectations. Where did your expectations come from? Why do you feel the need that you have to have a house? Because that's the quote unquote American dream. So many people say that that is what they want, but sometimes it's not, and that's okay. But we've been conditioned to believe that if you don't have a house by a certain age, then you haven't made it, you're not successful, and you end up beating yourself up about it. I want you to truly explore like where your expectations are coming from. And then if they are your expectations, really learn how to articulate them so that you can communicate to whoever you need to so that they have a better chance of being met. So communication is one. The next thing I want us to do going forward, to release these expectations and kind of temper them. I'm not going to say that you cannot have expectations. There's nothing wrong with having a standard and having a hope and belief that something will happen in the future. But the second thing that you can do to modify and to change your expectations is to turn them into actionable goals. How can you turn what you expect to happen into something that you can do that'll get you to progress? Okay, so in the example of like my unrealistic expectation that I was going to make multiple six figures and after 6 months of having my business, um, one of the things that I did was I got coaching. Well, the reason why it didn't work is because I didn't have a strategy, right? So I got coaching, I got strategy, I learned more, I figured out a process and a system that worked for me to help my business be more successful. And while I still haven't hit multiple six figures, there's a lot more strategy. There's actionable goals. There's a way for me to track the things that I'm doing in my business. There's a lot more strategy and systems in place around it. So it's not unrealistic anymore. And then the last thing is to kind of just maybe focus on the process. And what I mean by that is when for example, when my husband and I were paying off our debt, I didn't have an expectation of when we were going to pay that debt off or how fast we were going to do it or whatever. All I was focused on at that point in time was if we budget our money and manage our money effectively, if we make more money, if we spend less money, then we'll put extra money towards the debt and we'll keep going at it until the debt is paid off. It took us 3 years to do that. And in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long of a time. However, by having my head down and just focusing on the thing that I needed to do, it didn't position me to expect to be out of debt in a year. And then when that didn't happen, I didn't beat myself up about it. There's lots of fancy debt calculators and things like that. And I love tools and trying to use data and strategies and projections and all those things with my clients. However, focusing on the process a lot of times is easier or is better when you're trying to get things done. So if you're trying to save money, instead of focusing on, okay, I'm gonna have this amount of money saved by this time and not meeting that expectation, leading you to disappointment, frustration, guilt, shame of your financial habits and spending and all those things, just focus on what you need to do. Okay, I'm going to transfer $25 every pay period to my checking account until I hit this number, and not necessarily having an expectation of when that will happen. Same thing with the debt, just like we did. Just focus on, okay, I'm going to pay this debt off. I'll do it as long as I need to, and I'll hit that goal. Because while paying off the debt, like focusing on the process was really helpful for that situation, I expected after we paid that debt off to be able to build our wealth at that same pace and trajectory that we did with paying off debt. So if we were able to pay $91,000 of debt off in 3 years, I expected us to be able to hit like multiple six figures in our investments at that same pace. What I did not factor in, because life happens and we can't know all of the things, is that, well, when we bought our second home, our expenses went up. Having a third child also changed our expenses. So there was different like amounts of money that were coming in and out. So that changed. I did not anticipate the stock market doing what it did and like crushing our investments for a little while. There were so many outside and external things that I just did not factor in. And so we did not hit or we didn't keep up with that pace that we were doing before when we were paying off debt. And because I had that expectation wasn't met, I felt like really bad about like where I was financially. And that's what we need to do, is really let go of the negative emotions around these expectations, well, when these expectations are unmet. And so by focusing on the process, just focusing on what you need to do, it will relieve you from the disappointment, the guilt, the shame, the spirals, the falling off the wagon, getting back on, and all of those different things that we do with our finances that are keeping us from the progress that we need to make. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap up today's episode, because I do want to keep these episodes pretty short and sweet. We are going into the holiday season. Well, we're in the holiday season now, and I know that life is life and we have things to do. So I don't want to just ramble on. But I do still want to invite you to reach out to me on Instagram. Email me hello@thelotuslegacy.co. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how I can support you. Upcoming, I have, if you are in the DMV, I am going to be doing a workshop series in the beginning of the year called Money on the Mat, where we're going to be really having a transformative experience around a mind body connection, taking your money mindset one step further with adding movement and adding mindfulness, and how we can really start to shape the way that we're thinking and feeling about our money so that we can use it more intentionally. If you're in the DMV, go to my website so that you can get more information about that. I would love to have you there. That is a great way to get started and having a fresh start when it comes to the new year. And then there's also coaching. I have strategy sessions available and one-on-one clients for 3-month sessions or 3-month packages and 6-month packages. Let's get this together, girl. Like, you do not have to continue to stress and struggle with your finances. You can get support and get progress in the things that you want to get progress on in your finances. So I hope that you enjoyed this message. Sharing is caring, okay? So make sure that you share this with somebody who you think might need to hear this episode. Make sure that you please give us a review, rate the show, give us comments, give us feedback. We love to hear those things. That will give me more insight on like what is working and what you would like to hear from the podcast, but it'll also help me get to more people so that more people could get access to this information. And until next time, y'all, keep growing.